WrestleBuddy Podcast. All about wrestling. Subscribe and follow for more content.
Hello and welcome everybody to the latest episode of the WrestleBuddy Podcast. I'm your host at True Critch on Twitter. I'm here with my fellow host, Maddie.
How you doing, everybody? It's Matty Boy here. You can find me at Matthew_Laws_, and you can find me also at WrestleBuddy.com. And we're also here with our good friend Harold.
Hey, it's me. It's TRC. Peace and love. Pass it on. Keep rocking. You can find me at WrestleBuddy.com or on Twitter at the RevCupid61. And take from that what you will.
Hey, I'm Griffin. You can find me on Twitter at GriffinK1 and on Instagram at the GriffinK.
All right, so we had a pretty eventful week, but also uneventful in other shows. So we're gonna go down first with Raw. Just build up to the Money in the Bank ladder match. We had a Miz TV, pretty funny, seeing Matt Riddle on top of the ladder, saying how high he is and getting thrown off. And then I think a few highlights were, I think Ricochet and Morrison have been having great matches but ending in count out, which will now lead to a false count anywhere. That will hopefully probably be the big blowout, and then that's going to be a great match, as we know their history with each other at other companies such as Lucha Underground. And well, not a lot of stuff happened for the highlights, but I just want to point out for Raw, we had quite an amount of different talent get spotlighted for once. We got Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali, which is cool that we're getting like a secondary feud between guys who hardly get TV time, but it's fresh faces. We know Mustafa, given any situation, makes it the best. What are you guys' thoughts on this, Maddie?
I really like Mansoor versus Ali. I really dug the Ali trying to teach Mansoor a lesson kind of thing. And I always thought Mansoor was going to get over with the crowd, but they never spotlighted him in front of the American crowds. So I think it's going to be really interesting if we actually get to see this finally happen in front of a crowd.
I thought the ending to Mustafa Ali, or Ali and Mansoor, was brilliant as well, because the whole Ali into a full sense of security, so Mansoor comes towards him and then rolls him up. You know, heat just fits into the story really well, I thought.
Yeah, Mansoor's really been like a hidden talent throughout the pandemic. He got a good winning streak on 205 Live for those who are watching it.
Yeah, it's some fantastic.
Yeah, so hopefully they build him up, the up-and-coming star. And then we got, which I believed could have been a SummerSlam main event, we had the new American Badass, Jinder Mahal, facing Drew McIntyre. Which a lot of people didn't know this. The bike he came in, I don't know if you guys are seeing on Twitter, the bike he came in was based off a figure that's out right now, where you can just break it apart and it's Drew McIntyre riding on it. So it's obviously like a way to start commercials for this new figure coming out in store soon.
If they don't give Jinder Mahal Limp Bizkit Rolling as his theme song, they've missed a trick right there.
Yeah, that
WWE's favorite band, after all.
Roll. Yeah, WWE's favorite band in the world.
Yeah, but future Hall of Famers for sure.
God.
They definitely owned that.
But what do you guys think about this? You think it's setting up McIntyre's potential SummerSlam feud? Maybe this like gets Jinder to screw McIntyre. You think Jinder should face, or McIntyre should face Jinder at SummerSlam? What are you guys' thoughts, Griffin?
Well, now he's moved out the main event scene. I think they've got to try and find a way for McIntyre to reconnect with fans. So in the past few weeks, he's that story about the sword It's just
Two,
it's not
he,
entertaining.
he gave 2 stories on Raw. That was like felt like an eternity of saying, I'm like, if he does this every week from now on, this is not going to help him.
We've got 15 minutes left. What should we do? Get Drew out there with his sword story.
that was hard. I'm worried about him. I'll still support him no matter what, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to give Drew steam again so that he can eventually get back to the world title picture, perhaps win it again, this time in front of fans. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, Maddie, where do you think McIntyre's heading at SummerSlam?
I would totally be down for McIntyre to get cost Money in the Bank, whether it be by gender or however, and for him to spiral into like a desperate kind of a heel character where he's just trying to crawl his way back to the top. I would love to see that start with Jinder. I don't see that being like a double turn where they would try to turn Jinder face, but I could totally see it being like the descent of Drew McIntyre. So I could totally see this leading to like SummerSlam or something.
How about you, Harold? Who do you see McIntyre facing?
100%. I probably would rather see that.
I think someone we're forgetting about who hasn't been on TV also, that would be a great money match, The Fiend. He's not, he has nothing for SummerSlam. Are they going to use him for SummerSlam? We don't know.
But if they do, they should start making an appearance, at least saying, I'm back, kind of thing.
Probably by Money in the Bank. We'll see.
If Orton takes Riddle's spot in the Money in the Bank match.
Oh, yeah, that's another prediction we were talking about. They're teasing. Riddle keeps hurting his foot a lot. And then we got a cool like Karate Kid moment with the crane kick, which was hilarious.
You should wear shoes then. Come on, man, it's not hard. My feet keep hurting.
I kicked the steps and it hurt.
Well, I feel like there's a conclusion to this. Oh, wish I could resolve this.
It maybe sets up Riddle to give his spot to Randy eventually at Money in the Bank, then making their friendship even stronger, and then hopefully sets them up for the tag titles at SummerSlam. That's where I see things are going. And then one thing I like to point out, also tag teams got somewhat of a spotlight. We got Lucha House Party versus Mason T-Bar. I put their names aside, Mason T-Bar. I think these guys have a potential to be like a great, like that tag team you don't expect to be good. Like, two random guys teaming up together and then becoming something better. So, I love Dijakovic, great talent. We haven't seen much of what Mace could do. So under the tutelage of Dijakovic, I think these guys can be the next tag team champions, but they just need to get more spotlight and let Dijakovic go all out. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, there are two teams really that it's sort of hard to invest in because they've not really got a storyline or things people care about. They're just two teams on the card who aren't that high up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. And then we got MVP and Bobby losing to the New Day, picking up steam for New Day. And we also have Riker beating Cedric Alexander. I'm just really curious to see how the crowd's going to react to Riker. They're probably expecting a huge babyface pop, but
no.
You guys think it's going to be crickets or raining boos?
Yeah, if anybody has the internet, they know what they can establish their opinion on Riker. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, but they're not. I know Raw's going to be pre-taped already. It was taped ahead. We got each member of the Viking Raiders are going to face AJ and Omasa's first singles match, and then we have a U.S. title match with Humberto and Sheamus. You guys think there's going to be one more final title change before we leave the Thunderdome, or Sheamus still?
It'd be a good way to go. It would be a good way to go.
It might be, but I think they should build up Sheamus a bit more before he loses it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he didn't really get much time. That nose injury.
I think that's really build up Humberto a little bit more before he wins.
no, I was so happy when he won. That match with Riddle was one of my favorite matches at WrestleMania, and I was hoping like more hard hitting matches, and it did get hard hitting that he broke his nose.
I feel like if Humberto does win, it might be a bit of a muted response anyway. Like when Apollo won it, it was kind of okay. Yeah. Expected it much earlier than it happened, and we're just like, okay, right, guess this happened now.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
let's wait to change the titles when the crowds come back. I feel like, I think the first match, I don't think it's gonna happen. The first Raw title match that they announced for crowds is AJ and Almost versus the Viking Raiders, but I don't know. I feel like they're gonna keep it on Almost, but they could drop it just to get that big crowd reaction once they're back. And then, but yeah, that's about it for Raw. How about Great American Bash, Maddie? What's your thoughts on that?
This was a very good show, whether or not people liked the Hit Row Cypher or not. I personally am a pretty big hip hop fan, so
yes.
What was that?
I loved it.
I loved it.
Great.
I loved it. I'm a big hip hop fan, so
it felt legit. It felt real.
It did feel real. It felt like they were given a chance to go out there and prove themselves.
You can tell they also like really love doing this. Like they're 100% invested in this. It's not like something like they feel.
It's 100% organic.
Yeah.
We also had a pretty damn good tag team title match between MSK, Timmy, and Tommy. I have a couple gripes with this match just because I'm a big Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher fan. I feel like if they were to have the time to prepare for MSK, they wouldn't be beat. But with a roll-up like that, makes sense. Very good match, though. Hard hitting.
I don't understand the MSK boos that have been happening.
I don't understand the hate at all.
Yeah. And then I think hopefully Ciampa's has been in NXT forever. We were just talking about before we started recording about like, I think this is going to be a time for a lot of people to get moved up. And I think
Ciampa's definitely going to be one of them, I think, especially with them going back on the road.
Yes, absolutely.
We had the Gargano and Cross face-to-face with Joe just standing dead center, looking off into the distance, waiting for one of them to move. And I thought it was a really good, like I said, the delusional heel Johnny Gargano that we're getting, where he's just trying to tease Cross into killing him, I guess.
Yeah,
what do you guys think about that?
After the Fatal 5-Way, I think Cross is like, I'm not going to let anybody talk bad about me on the mic, because I think every opponent pretty much buried him on the mic. And then it's like, he kind of talked back pretty good to Gargano. And then Gargano says, yeah, you can't lace my wife's boots. And I was like, okay.
I think it's quite rare to do with a heel versus heel match for the championship. So it's quite a nice, different story they're telling here.
And I think it's going to be fun. Like, Gargano brings out the best in his opponents, and that's exactly what they need of Cross right before he goes to the main roster. I genuinely think Gargano's winning it here.
And Joe becoming special ref, they keep teasing, they keep pulling our heartstrings. That makes it perfect. Is he going to get physical?
I would hope so. I would really hope so. I hope Cross goes and does the whole shove, kind of like Adam Cole did, just to shove him off of
hits him with that elbow that he's been doing as of late.
I don't like that finisher. I genuinely don't. It doesn't have the same feel as the cross jacket.
I feel like it could. I think he's trying to make it like a rolling elbow, but it doesn't feel as bad as when Chris Hero does it. Yeah.
What do you think about it, Harold?
They don't pay me to say number one. Cross should go back to being Cross.
A more mystical character, you think?
Yeah, because I think that this version that they're pushing, I think it's don't get me wrong, he's got a lot of talent and everything, but I think the push he's getting is too soon. I would like to see him work a little more in NXT before he gets called up to the main roster.
I think if they do move him up to main roster, what they should do is keep him with Scarlett. He doesn't necessarily need Scarlett. He's a good enough talker. But she's not needed, but she completes the package for Cross, I think.
She's a distraction to the package.
But then where does Scarlett go if she doesn't have Cross too?
She had a tryout. She had a tryout for SmackDown or Raw.
She did pretty well on the Mexican scene. I thought she did pretty well down in was it CMLL or AAA that she was wrestling for?
AAA.
Yeah, I thought she was doing really well out there during her time out there. But we haven't had a chance to see her in NXT like against anybody.
I'd love to see her against Mercedes Martinez. I think that would be a great match.
We also had. Oh, sorry. What was that, Chris?
No, go ahead.
We also had the main event of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly.
Well, first we have the new women's tag team champions.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark beat Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell in a pretty good match. I think it was overshadowed by a kind of a subpar reintroduction of Tegan Knox. It's great to see her back. I'm so glad to see that she's stable and walking.
Yes.
I forgot. Was Candice even involved in her getting hurt or her last match before she got hurt?
I was pretty sure it was Dakota Kai.
I don't. It was so long ago. I don't remember what was Tegan's last thing. But
I feel like I'm gonna have to come back to you guys next week on the podcast and refresh everything. But I'm pretty sure it was Dakota Kai that took her out. Storyline wise,
She did take her out when she made her turn.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. I wasn't expecting Io and Zoe to win because, well, I can't say they're a makeshift tag team because Indy and Candice are pretty much a makeshift tag team. But I was hoping this was Io's like send off. Like Candice finally gets her win on Io, and this is the way
I thought that's exactly what this was for, but no,
it feels like they don't know what to do with Io at the minute. I'm not a huge fan of title change. I don't mind it, but I feel like they are hopscotching the titles a bit already. They've had 3 champions now. I think like both the champions in the previous belt reigns.
They're the 4th now.
Oh, well, there you go. I think it's they're losing the titles too early. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bronson only had a month?
Ish, maybe.
Not even.
And
admittedly, some of that is due to injury, but I feel like they are just generally the belts switch hands well too often. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they need more. Can't remember.
What's her name? It's not Kaden Carter anymore.
Oh yeah,
it's something else now.
The former Kaden Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a really good tag team.
They
started getting wins, and
yeah,
I don't think we've seen them in a month.
Yeah, I think they got an injury, but they came back recently, but now they're disappearing. But
I could totally see Casey getting brought up during the draft or whenever crowds get brought back.
Yeah, I think she's really talented for someone who has less than like 5 years wrestling, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's definitely less than 5. She was a former Ninja Warrior, so.
Yeah. And then,
and she's so tiny.
Yeah, but she can bust out some athletic stuff.
Insane.
I love her ring entrances where she used to walk up the post.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
And now we have Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole, which. Oh, thank you to Alex in the chat. We completely forgot LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. I think I blocked this one out because it made me sad at the end. But we're getting Cameron Grimes as a butler. I think he's going to do phenomenal in those vignettes and everything that LA Knight's going to have him do. I can totally see him have Cameron like scrub a toilet brush with, or a toilet bowl with a toothbrush or something. But what do you guys think?
It can only
Yeah.
be a good for Cameron Grimes in his career
Yeah, I think
for the $1 million belt.
I think anything Grimes does, whether it's good or bad, I think anything comedic, he delivers. So I know we're gonna get some good comedic stuff out of this. I already saw on Twitter he was like, "First day on the job, I called out," stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be hilarious to see this. See where this goes from here. I really wanted it to be like Grimes's ascension, but like I think it makes more sense for a heel to win the $1 million championship. So it's
And
gonna be
have
interesting
the
to
lower
see.
people do stuff for him.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets out of this situation.
I just hope it leads to Grimes at least getting that belt.
Yeah. And
Now we've
finally-
got O'Reilly and Cole. Third time's a charm, right? This match was a belter. Both men just beat the hell out of each other. O'Reilly showing off that impressive martial arts background that he's got, plus Cole being one of the best counter wrestlers in all of wrestling. Which I think this match was a 2 or 3 segment match. It went long, but I think it definitely deserved all the time that it got.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it didn't need any cheating or any weapons. It was like just pure wrestling, a few things outside. But I love that they didn't need all that extra stuff for the match.
There's definitely going to be a rough match.
Absolutely,
It was genuinely a good pro wrestling match. Like that, we can say that quite a bit about NXT, but this was a genuinely good pro wrestling match. You had your good heel versus face dynamic. You had the underdog baby face, but getting stunted by Cole's just ring IQ. It was a great match.
yeah.
It genuinely left me stunned afterwards.
And wanting for more, which they're gonna get their. In NXT they'll do the rubber match.
I hope
And
it's at TakeOver Vegas.
If they do a takeover Vegas, I hope they do. They haven't said
Please.
anything so far. Yeah. Oh, the crowd would go nuts for that. And just to scream Adam Cole, baby, I freaking missed that.
That crowd pop's gonna be great.
Yeah, I almost lost. I was at when he won the North American title at New Orleans, and that was the first match I almost lost my voice just screaming for Adam Cole. And now we got AEW. Griffin, what do you got for us there?
Yeah, so it pretty much goes out saying the biggest takeaway from AEW Dynamite was the debut of the once Aleister Black, from the end, now called Malachi Black. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not sure about the name entirely, but I thought the debut was generally pretty well done. What do you guys think?
My only complaint was Excalibur's commentating, trying to correct Jim Ross. Jim Ross gets lost sometimes, but I think they kind of had the right. Like, we can call him Tommy N. Like, nobody owns that name. Let's say he's Tommy N. And then in the promo, he reveals like, no, I'm Malachi Black now. Like, I know, like, we know this is all predetermined and all that. But let's act like it's a surprise. Like, let's pretend like we didn't know he was coming. That's Tommy N. That's Tommy N. We talked about this earlier.
I remember wrestling him in 15 years ago, and that's not Tommy N. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
That really broke the mystique there. Yeah.
Or like, don't talk throughout the whole thing. Like, being
That was
shocked
bullshit.
that
that threw everything. That ruined everything. Is what it did.
let's not talk and let like being shocked that Arn Anderson's down. Like, let's have some concern for Arn, and
then taking out Cody.
Yeah, which is what do you guys
But
think
why-
about him facing Cody?
Why Arn? Like they could have picked somebody, but besides Arn, let's remember there. One of these moves could kill him.
Well,
I think it's fine him feuding with Cody as long as he wins, because Cody he's actually not won many times on pay-per-view compared to losses. I think they're about equal now, but he's known for sort of halting pushes for new wrestlers. Anthony Ogogo, Sean Spears, beat both of them I think on their pay-per-view debut or something. Early in their careers, it sort of halted them from getting any further up the card. And I hope it doesn't do that with Black. So I think Black should win this match. Plus, that way it certifies as a top star within the company.
Yeah, please do not. After this feud, I hope Malachi gets no dark matches. Like, I think that's where it goes
just
down.
Dynamite.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Griffin?
Also debuting, but this time in ring, was Andrade El Idolo, the much hyped debut of former CMLL megastar and WWE wrestler this week as he faced Matt Sydal in a match that was actually pretty good, pretty competitive. Andrade got the win. He looked good. Not much more.
It was
you
a
can ask
great
for.
match, but I didn't see like the crowd react to that DDT he delivered. And then the 1, 2, 3, they kind of like at least that section of the crowd where you can see. And yeah, I thought they were kind of like dead for.
And we also talk about how lazily named his finisher. His name's Andrade El Idolo. His finisher's called El Idolo.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
the El
A lot of time went into
Idolo.
that.
And yeah, and Jim Ross and I think all three of them can't really pronounce Spanish words correctly, so kind of give them. They keep calling him Andre, like Andre the Giant, like it's Andrade. So yeah, it's kind of irks me.
That moonsault's still good. That moonsault he does is still good though. The one where he sort of lands on his feet and does a look on moonsault. Still a great move.
He's still as crisp as ever.
Sin Cara Azul. Can you say that, Jim? Sin Cara Azul.
I was really worried whenever they brought out the Black Sin Cara.
Oh yeah.
That could have been really bad, really fast.
Yeah. But also when man, I didn't really like his gear too, like the whole striped pants.
What was the mask?
I loved it's a reference to Black Mask from the DC universe.
I like that. Like that's a cool like entrance gear. Like I saw that he wears trunks now in this one match he had in the Indies before coming to AEW.
I think his gimmick in AEW is sort of businessman, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe he's sort of taking out business
man.
or whatever. So it's sort of dressed quite conventionally.
Kind of like
I don't mind it.
Naito in New Japan. He would come out with the full suit before wrestling. I saw it like that too. What else you got for us, Griffin?
This isn't necessarily. That's one thing I want to point out now that fans are back. It's something we wouldn't have had before, but I quite like the segment where Omega was out, and all the fans started chanting, "You got fired, Don Callis." That's a big Impact time you've not really seen for a long time.
Yeah, it seems like people do watch Impact, but then you watch Impact, he's still there, and he's still
Generally,
kind of
the crossover hasn't been great or really equal for Impact. But I think that it took me by surprise. I didn't think that would happen, but there we go. They're acknowledging Impact. The fans were, and you wouldn't have that without crowds. So that shows how the crowds feel about the whole angle, which is good for the company really, because they can modify what they want based on the fans' reaction.
Oh, great
Also
to point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just want to point out like how great is it to have fans back? Like it felt like a real wrestling show. I miss it. And I'm
also in that
excited
segment we saw Omega and Page face to face for the first time in ages. I saw on I don't know who posted it, but I saw on Twitter the 1 year callback, because a year ago at Revolution they did that thing with Hangman Page's on the ropes, possibly Hangman Buckshot Lariat thing Omega. They did the same thing this week. I just thought, well, that's the kind of storytelling, the small little details that AEW taken really make the fans enamored with the product. It's a great little tie-in. The same thing from Revolution last 2020 and this year. I thought it was a bit of storytelling. You don't really see much elsewhere. Those sort of little bits of, booking that wrestling didn't always do.
Yeah, I love the face-off. It felt real. You felt the crowd was loving it, and it's just like this is a match that needs to happen, and they're doing a great job building it. Absolutely
Yes,
love it.
this week's AEW Road Rager, I think, was pretty much a success for the most part. The scrap match between Cody and QT was surprisingly good. I found. I came into it with little expectation because the storyline is hard to care for because QT Marshall's very. I'm sure he's a good trainer. But yeah, I could care. I don't really care for QT Marshall that much. The match was pretty good.
You change the channel and you see when they were on Fridays, like you see QT Marshall on one wrestling show, and then you see Roman Reigns on another one. Like, who's the star? Like, who do you see as a star? Yeah, I never really saw it. And
he's not a bad wrestler, or I'm sure he's a good trainer, but he's just not that entertaining to watch. He's a bit bland, I think, really, even as a heel, which normally solves the issue. But either way, I couldn't care less for him.
Knowing the track history, we're gonna probably see QT back on Dark.
Yeah. Any other comments about AEW this week?
We were talking about earlier. I think the Street Fight tag match kind of went all over the place. It was great. Like, they were doing cool stuff, but like, did they really have to knock out the ref when it was already a street fight? Did the Good Brothers have to sneak into the match to hand the thumbtacks? Like, yeah, a lot of weird, like, they were just trying to go all out. I get it. It's the first real show with crowds, but I think it was going
pretty gnarly. Freddie Kingston, though.
Yeah, and you know that guy.
I wouldn't be taking that myself. I think I'm not a wrestler, so I don't have to worry about it.
There was one part of that match that I have as a takeaway, and something I will call from now on. Jim Ross called the half and half suplex the Arnold Palmer, and I will from now on be referring to that move as the Arnold Palmer.
That's hilarious.
There we go.
Oh, and the MJF. Oh, and a fan.
Oh yeah, Chris Jericho hit a fan over, didn't he? Because a fan got involved in the segment.
I think it's the first time.
It's the first time that. Well, I say it's not the first time Jericho's had an incident with a fan. I think it was an incident in 2008 or something similar, where he
a lot further back. I think it was early 2000s.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of the Brazilian flag incident, but you might be right. Definitely.
Yeah, he was doing his entrance, or Austin was doing his entrance, and a fan popped the barricade and did a running punch to Jericho, to either the side of his head or the back of his head while he was turned. And Austin went out there to stop Jericho from beating the hell out of the guy.
I think it's hard to. There's two sides of the story. Should a wrestler hit a fan? I think it, as long as, the fan shouldn't be jumping the barricade anyway. It goes without saying. I think wrestlers can deal with it. I think that's fine personally.
I think it's
Jericho, you're a fan. But if security isn't doing a good job, who is? The wrestlers have to take it upon themselves.
Yeah, I think it's self-defense. Like, you never know what they're gonna do, what they have, like, and if the security guards aren't there on time.
Yeah. It's much calmer these days. Back in the 70s, 80s, there were riots and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's good it's limited now, but we need to curb it out entirely, I think.
That tells me that the job is getting done if they're making the fans react like that.
But Jericho's not even a heel right now. That's weird that he's getting, unless it was a super hardcore MJF fan that wanted to attack him.
MJF has no fans that he wants.
Yeah, that's
if he wants.
He's got his, pardon the pun, inner circle of friends.
So I guess we can move on to Impact. If there's any last minute thoughts on AEW. It's same as other wrestling shows. Not huge things happen, but just to set up the big Slammiversary pay-per-view. Matt Cardona's back after being off for 12 weeks with the orbital bone fracture, whatever it is. I'm probably setting up Cardona versus Myers, which I think, knowing them, they're great friends. They're gonna hit it out the park.
It has to happen.
Yeah, it's a rubber match now, but now you got Sam Beal, which I love this. The whole most professional wrestler with his protege type of thing. I think Myers has been on another level since leaving WWE or being fired from WWE, but he's just another guy compared to not. I'm a huge Hawkins / Myers fan. I'm excited for this.
What to think of that gimmick about him being a quote unquote mentor, I guess.
I love it. It's just hilarious. And then I have Deonna Purrazzo. Gail Kim dropped the news that Deonna is going to face a mystery opponent.
Right.
What are you guys' predictions on who this can be?
Me.
Harold versus
Breaking
Deonna.
news on the podcast, guys.
Yes, for the Impact
heard
Knockouts
it first.
Championship.
I think we were talking about it before we went on air. I think Chelsea Green could be good, but my pick is for Ruby Soho, the former Ruby Riott. I think that in front of a crowd would just pop huge at Slammiversary, especially since she was a pretty well-known name in WWE that didn't get used that well. So seeing her pop up in Impact and face the champion, I think would bring her stock up.
I think Impact know what they're doing, but it should be a big name or somebody recently left from WWE or something like that. Because if not, that'll be a huge disappointment to fans, won't it? It'll be a huge letdown. So I hope they know what they're doing, and I hope it is a big name. I hope it's not just a returning Impact star. I'll be fine, but they would perhaps feel expectations be too high, and then let it go again.
I don't think it could be Ruby unless they let the 30 days slide on her contract, because she was released in June.
Was she the third wave?
She was the second wave-ish.
Well, I was gonna say she was the second wave, then hers is coming up right before Slammiversary.
No, I mean third wave. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at the list of all the people.
My dream opponent probably, I won't have them, but my dream opponent would be Kylie Ray. That'll take the story full circle. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's just not.
That's a good
full circle.
But was it? I think it's going to be obviously Chelsea. I feel like Chelsea's so obvious because they did last week. If we were watching Impact on Access, they had a best of Laurel Van Ness, which is Chelsea Green's old name, and it was a best of her. Like they wouldn't have done a whole best of if she's not resigning to the company. So yeah, I think that's so obvious. I'm looking at the list of people who were released. Maybe Mickey James, but she said she was going to. She has
the women's shows, women's pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I think it's either Chelsea. I have a prediction for later, but I guess I'll talk about that right now. One of my favorite segments of the show, All About Me, with guest Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with the K this week. The host was Jazz. I think the show's always hilarious. And then Rachel Ellery and Jordan Grace want revenge on Tennille Dashwood. And Dashwood talks about how she's been wanting to get the Knockouts championships since they came, and she's found a partner, unsucceeded, and then like has been trying to forcefully get Rachel Ellery. I think this is gonna set up the Iconics coming in, but like as Tennille's like
inspiration.
Yeah, the inspiration, and then they're like become a trio with Caleb with the K, and I think that's gonna set up them. That's someone who I predict will go on to Impact. They just right for it, and then after that it was announced that a fatal 4-way for the Impact World Tag Team Championships, Violent by Design, defending it against Rich Swann, Willie Mack, TJP, and Fallah Bahh, and the Good Brothers. Who do you guys think take tag titles?
I genuinely would love to see Rich Swann and Willie Mack win them. I think they've been telling a pretty good story about them coming back together and working their way up through the tag team ranks. I would love to see them get the titles.
I think Learned by Design will just retain.
Was TJP's name mentioned, or was I just hearing things?
Yeah,
TJP's
TJP
with Falaba.
I like to see that one.
I
mean, TJP's been around for a while. I mean, you know, how much longer is he going to be involved, right?
think Willie Mack, I like the thing they mentioned that they were basically the #1 contenders before Rich Swan's injury. So like that's a full circle moment right there, getting Rich Swann to win the tag titles. I kind of see that, but I also love Violent by Design, and they've been killing it. There's something different, and yeah, I'm excited for this Fatal 4-Way next week at Slammiversary. And then we had a backstage segment with our favorite Twitter superstar Susan, who Kimberly has a backup plan and introduces her to Father James Mitchell, and she's like, "Oh, who are you? You look familiar." And he's like, "Oh, trust me." And she goes, "Trust me, I'm Susan." And I just love that. And we're probably going to get the return of Su Young. I think I think this is going to be like a backfire, and then we're going to get Susie. We're going to get Susie back, and that's going to have Susie and Kimberly for a while, and that's going to be annoying for Kimberly. And then throughout the show, we saw that Sami Callihan got arrested for assaulting Don Callis, but we only saw the back of Sami Callihan. And then Scott D'Amore wanted the contract signing to still happen, and then we saw a clip from Callahan's hacking ability that showed that was actually Johnny Bravo with Johnny Swinger holding a camera or his phone recording this from happening. And I thought that was hilarious. I think Swinger and Johnny are always like on another comedic level. And yeah, it's official.
Son here, I will return.
And it's official, like we're getting Omega and Callahan. Do we think this is going to be the end of Omega in Impact?
Callahan's definitely been billed here as the anti-hero, signing up for Impact. Will it end? I think so. I feel like it'll annoy people if it goes on much longer, to be honest. I like Omega. I like Callahan. I wouldn't mind seeing Omega retain, but I know people would. So I feel like to try and quash any anger, they're going to try and get back on Callahan.
I think that with fans being back at Slammiversary, that they're dying to see something big happen. And I think Callahan beating Omega, I would like to see minimal interference from the Good Brothers, but I can totally see like some of the Impact in the back coming out and dealing with them, so that way we can get Callahan winning the title.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't hurt Omega to lose. They just don't let it get mentioned on AEW. And he's still undefeated in AEW. He still has his AEW championship, and I think
the AAA mega title.
Yeah, and all that. So now we're getting him versus Andrade in August. I'm excited for that. But yeah, it's great to see that Callahan's getting this time to shine. And now we're going off to SmackDown. Full disclosure, we recorded this before SmackDown's airing, so we're just gonna predict what's going to happen first. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Who do you guys think is going to the Money in the Bank ladder match?
Cesaro.
My heart says
like
Cesaro.
Yeah. I feel like they're setting up a Rollins feud as something like Roman or Edge. I thought if he wins Money in the Bank, they'll probably do that SummerSlam. It's no point playing both Money in the Bank and the big SummerSlam match. So I feel like Cesaro wins this, maybe with help from somebody like Edge. And then Cesaro's in the match and Rollins gets a bigger program at SummerSlam.
I think, yeah, Rollins doesn't have a match at Money in the Bank, and then he's just going crazy that he lost Money in the Bank. He can't face Roman, and then he screws Edge for the title, and that sets up their match at Money in the Bank. Also, one thing to point out that we reported on WrestleBuddy that Cena will be possibly filming a movie, and that's kind of where we were thinking Roman was heading at SummerSlam. What do you guys think will be Roman's match if Cena can't make it to SummerSlam?
I think we've seen Cena and more pop up in quicker times before pay-per-views, like air quotes quicker times. I can totally see Cena doing a match and then hopping on a plane immediately after. Like as soon as the match is over, get cleaned up and head to the airport. It seems like something that could happen.
Once. It's been done more than once.
Yeah, and that man's a freaking machine. I don't think
He don't sleep.
So, he doesn't. He just goes. So it could still happen. My prediction that maybe Big E wins the Money in the Bank and gets a match.
Yeah, that's surely where they want to go with this.
But then I kind of want him. I just want Big E to win the Money in the Bank and cash it into any person, or sets him up for a main event match.
I think he's the best choice. As to whether they'll choose him, I'm not sure. When it's traditionally a heel wins. I mean, some places have won obviously in the past multiple times.
You guys ready for Brock Lesnar to do it again?
Yes, the active roster.
I saw something the other day. They think Eva Marie will run in the women's match and win it at the last minute without doing anything.
I swear to God. I've already been ranting enough on my good, bad, and ugly.
And then
Eva Marie.
Another qualifying match announced. The only other match announced. Shinsuke Nakamura facing Baron Corbin, a qualifying match. I think I see them putting a heel in this match because they just like putting heels, and the only heel really in the Money in the Bank match is Morrison, really. It's weird.
Yeah, I feel like Corbin's winning this.
Yeah,
I think he beat Nakamura a few weeks ago. Thought I'd do it again.
They're getting
I can
him
see Corbin winning it.
Yeah.
But then again, they're making him like get buried a little, like building him down to like the reverse $1 million man, losing all his money, everything he loves. So maybe.
All of his investments.
Yeah, former king. Now he's rags to riches. No, riches to rags, I should say.
Yeah.
Are they slowly turning Corbin face? Surely can't be what they're doing, right?
That's what people are thinking. Yeah, I
can see it
too.
happening,
and it's different. He's never done it, literally.
Corbin has a cool moveset, but except for that, there's nothing to cheer for about Corbin. He's 100% a heel.
Make him poor. That's what gets us to cheer.
Make him poor.
And then we have still 2 spots for the Money in the Bank women's SmackDown side. Liv, they posted a video that Liv wants to be in it, and I think she's about to get announced for it, and then someone comes in. I hope it's Mia Yim. SmackDown needs fresh faces. It's cool that they're like giving it to other people besides Liv, and then Liv earns her spot at Money in the Bank. So that was my prediction last week. I hope we get more this week for that. And yeah, that's it. The last Thunderdome in the SmackDown, and we got Raw. We're back to crowds. I'm excited. Oh, and another big news we were talking about earlier, Maddie, you love hip hop. SmackDown's heading to Rolling Loud. I know my friends at the other side of the seas don't know what that is, but it's a huge hip hop festival. Yeah, it's a huge hip hop festival.
It's a huge hip hop festival.
Biggest. Everybody like in my age wants to go. They're like everybody when the lineup drops. And
the lineup's big this year.
I mean, it's some of the biggest rappers on the planet going to be there, and SmackDown's going to get filmed,
especially since
there.
Everything's back finally.
Yeah,
and with SmackDown being there, I don't know how it's going to go over.
Yeah,
If
Vince
they-
McMahon say
if-
the N word again. That's how you make ratings.
I mean, you
Ooh,
got.
can we remember that was on pay-per-view?
Yeah, gosh.
Man, just the who's who, like ASAP Rocky, 21 Savage, Travis Scott,
Post Malone.
Post Malone, Tyga, Rick Ross, Gucci Mane, a special appearance by Bobby Shmurda. Like these guys.
I'll tell you what they'll do. I'm pretty sure they'll do something either with R-Truth or the 24/7 Championship at this event.
Oh, they got to get some of these rappers.
They're definitely gonna do
the
that,
title
aren't they?
reign. Yeah.
Is Bad Bunny going to be there, Chris?
No, unfortunately not.
I was
Uh,
just going to say, have him just pop up for a surprise appearance, hit a Canadian destroyer on someone.
Yeah, I miss our future
That
Hall
was
of Famer, Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny
But
from out of nowhere.
man, I love Bad Bunny. I just think this is really cool. Like you get a lot of fans who just know. I think hip hop has a huge wrestling community, but they like mostly know the Attitude Era or stuff they grew up on, and then this will get them to watch even more. You never know. Like a girl could be seeing Bianca Belair out there. They put Bianca on the thing.
Sasha
so maybe,
Banks.
like this could set up new fans. I think it's something different. It's more mainstream, and I think WWE's doing the right thing. I'm excited to see this 2 weeks from now. So I'm excited.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah. I think if you don't understand how big this is, then think outside the box. That's all I got to say.
It's like Glastonbury, but rap artists then.
Huh? Sorry?
Like Glastonbury, but rap.
Yeah. It is one of the biggest hip hop festivals of all in.
Don't they
in the
hold
United States.
Sonosphere out in the UK? Or is
Probably, I
Sonosphere
don't know.
still a festival? I remember that was like
I'm
a
pretty sure
metal
there's one
festival.
called Unplugged. There's Glastonbury, Leeds Festival, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
All
I'm
right. So
But I'd rather see Monsters of Rock.
Isle of Wight Festival, of course.
So yeah, I think that's about it. We're getting ready for more and more crowds. It's going to be an exciting time in wrestling.
These next few weeks are going to be what both well, I say that, but all companies sort of built up to where they can now have their big moments for the first time in a year and a half.
Yeah,
Next
been,
week and the next following few weeks should be full of huge moments.
We've been hungry for these moments, and we're finally getting them. One last thing. It's NWO week, 25 years. Let's do some NWO discussions. Like last week, we had the tag team discussion. Favorite, let's think. Favorite underrated NWO member, like not the typical Hall, Nash, Six, Hogan. Let's say
K-Dog. Conan was amazing in his time in the NWO.
It made him a whole different person. It gave him new attitude. Like
He was getting ring time.
He felt like a real member. He wasn't like, he's just wearing a shirt like a Big Bubba Rogers, Big Boss Man, Isaac Yankman.
Wasn't he one of the only ones to be in all three versions of the NWO? Because I know he was in NWO, LWO. Did he get into the Wolfpack?
Yeah, he was an original member of the Wolfpack.
Okay, so yeah, he was
The
part of
main
all
member.
three.
Other than the obvious answer of Vincent, because we all love Virgil. I think Scott Norton was really good.
Scott
He didn't get much
Flash
time on WCW because he was often on the losing side of the bigger stars, but he was IWGP champion whilst wrestling in WCW as a member of the NWO.
Vicious and Delicious, one of a great
Yes.
underrated team. What about you, Harold? Who do you got?
I like to say Buff Bagwell, actually.
The stuff.
Another guy who like got a whole new layer of personality after that I think also Scott Steiner. I think he's a
That is
bigger member.
standing to Judy Bagwell and Viagra on a pole match. You know?
Oh my god.
I mean, the only guy who can get his mother to call in sick for him. Like, come on.
And
That'd be like Trent using Sue to call into work. And they let it happen because it's Sue.
Mhm. And then one guy, like I did not know this was him back when I would watch WCW tapes growing up, but I always thought he was like a cool looking guy. The Disciple. I did not know this was Brutus
Oh
the
yeah,
Barber
Bruce
Beefcake.
Beefcake.
Yeah, I did not know, but I just thought he looked so cool with Hogan. Another like underrated member, even though he didn't do much. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Happy 25 years to NWO. One of the coolest groups
Kurt
ever.
Hennig's got a call I forgot to mention.
For life.
Henning.
Not cool. Rick Rude, who appeared on ECW, WCW, and WF all in the same week. That's when he appeared on Raw and Nitro on the same night. Kurt Hennig, because
Right.
Kurt Hennig's the best. Who doesn't like Kurt Hennig?
Yeah. Only thing I wish he wore NWO gear. That's what like Brett when Brett was in it, like he just still wore his pink and his own merchandise, but he was a member of the NWO.
Yeah, sort of a
like,
satellite member of the group.
yeah, that's kind of like go all out. I like all those members that like went all out in their gear.
Yeah, people forget, but they had a lot of underrated, great workers in the group other than the main three.
Yeah. On that note, I guess we're done. Happy 25 years to NWO. Next week will be even bigger than ever. We're getting crowds. We're getting great pay-per-views.
Next week's going to be insane.
Right,
I'm
thanks for
so
watching.
excited for the crowds.
I'm excited too. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like us on anything. I think we have a Facebook, WrestleBuddy. Follow us on Twitter, Wrestle_Buddy, and follow us here on YouTube. We got some great stuff coming for you guys, great interviews and great quiz shows and this podcast. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Keep rocking.